Okay. Hello, everyone. We'll get started in about 1 minute. All right. So I want to thank you guys for coming out today. My name is Whitney Kiles, and I'll be going over the top 5 changes from Lexis to Lexis Plus. When you first sign on online to Lexis, if by chance you're not brought to the Lexis Plus homepage, what you want to do is just click on these dots up here at the top. This is your product switcher, and then you'll have Lexis Plus right here. Now, in terms of one of the very first changes is that you have different search modules here on the side. If you do case law or statute-based research, you'll most likely want to start off in the legal research module. You'll notice that you still have your main search box right here where you can put in search terms, citations, the name of a source. You can also set up filtering options before you run the search. If I scroll further down, you still have your Explore Content box. Essentially with Explore Content, you can select one of these content types, or you could even do practice area as an example, where all your content type will be listed on one page. But essentially, it'll list out all your sources, or you can search through one source at a time through the Explore box. If I click on tools, if you were used to using Brief Check, Brief Link, Get a Doc Assistance, or Get in Print, those will be contained in here. Now, in the main search box, we've added what's called Lexis Answers. And so let's say you're tasked with a new topic and you'd like to find a pinpoint case on that topic. So for this example, I'm just going to type in adverse possession. And you'll notice that suggestions continue to populate, but down here we have suggested questions. So if I were to click on that first question, which said, what is the doctrine of adverse possession? Because I clicked on that suggested question, it's now going to bring us to what's called answers. Now keep in mind, I have not selected a jurisdiction or any other filtering options. So I can still do that here on the side. And if I use any of these filters, then the answers will reflect the filters that I've selected. If I focus on the answer section, our first answer is pulled from a dictionary. The second answer, though, is pulled out of case law. This first case is pulled out of Ohio. I can see it is defining the doctrine of adverse possession. And so this could potentially be a good pinpoint case, if Ohio is the applicable jurisdiction. If I scroll further down past answers, you have your regular results. And of course, you can sort your results based on your preference right here. The second searching capability that's been incorporated into Lexis Plus is connectors functionality. So a lot of times people might not be comfortable with connectors, think like within the same sentence or within the same paragraph. And so we've built in a connector tool, as mentioned a few seconds ago. So for this example, I'm just going to put in bankruptcy and restructuring, and I'm just going to narrow this down to Delaware. And keep in mind, this is someone that doesn't really use connectors running this particular search. And so that new functionality will be up here at the top. So if I click on this widget, I can see that there's 197 cases that mention bankruptcy and restructuring within the state of Delaware. And then if I wanted to have these two terms used within the same sentence, the system will do that for me. I would just click the 53 results. If I want to see these two terms within the same paragraph, the system will do that for us as well. And that would give us 80 results. So this alleviates the headache of whether or not you're using connectors correctly, because this functionality will do that for you. In terms of the post filters, we've now incorporated the exclude and include within search within results. Where this could really come into play is if you've ran a search, the cases are mentioning the terms that you care about in the right context. However, you've noticed after previewing the cases that there is a particular term that continues to pop up, and you would preferentially like to get rid of that term in your cases. So with the exclude button, you would then type that term in, apply the filter, and then it will alleviate that term out of your cases. That way you can continue to keep your cases within the right context. On the latter, if you've run a search and you've decided you want to include additional terms, you just hit the include option, and then you type the term in, apply the filter, and then it'll search for cases that mention those included terms. The second big change is with practical guidance. So practical guidance was initially a separate product. Now it's been rolled into Lexis Plus. It's great for attorneys that don't do a whole lot of research, who primarily would be interested in practice notes, templates, clauses, articles, and checklists. And so when you click on this module, you can put a term in here and it's already going to be tailored toward that content. You can also select your filtering options before you run the search. So that's the first way of searching through there. The second way is you can come over here to the practice areas box. So let's say you do civil litigation, you can click on that practice area. You can then plug terms in this box, and if you run the search, it's already tailored towards civil litigation. The additional way of searching through the civil litigation page is you can select the topics or tasks. So let's say you want to find something on motions. We can see that there's quite a bit of practice notes and templates and other content type. If I scroll down, these are the filtering options. And so let's say if I want to narrow this down to Ohio as an example, I can see that there's actually a video on brief writing available here. And then there's also a motion practice fundamentals. And so this is just an example of how you can filter through your content. We also offer what's called resource kits. Resource kits are great because they will contain all of your content within one page. And we have resource kits for every practice area. And so still being within the civil litigation module, if I click on the civil litigation resource kit for the federal jurisdiction as an example, you'll notice that all the content that's embedded in this page is briefly mentioned right here. If I scroll down, it's written out, basically steps to practicing litigation in federal court. You've got hyperlinks out to all the different content. If I didn't emphasize on this a few seconds ago, resource kits are, once again, they're great for newer attorneys that need a rundown on a particular topic within a practice area. They're also great for attorneys that have been practicing for a while but might need a refresher. So those are resource kits. At any time in your research, if you want to get back to the home page, just hit the Lexis Plus icon at the top. And next, I want to touch base on state law comparison tool. State law comparison tool is very similar to 50 state surveys. It essentially what you would want to do is find your practice area and then click a topic where you want to find the primary law on. And so if I wanted to get, how do you commence a civil action in one or more jurisdictions? Let's say I want to find out how to start a civil action in the Midwest states. You can then hit continue. Next, you've got a list of questions that can be answered as it pertains to commencing a civil lawsuit. You can manually select which questions you care about, or if you like them all, you can hit select all and then download the report. Here's an example report. So it'll list, so first start off with the table of contents, list all the questions and applicable jurisdictions. Once you get past the table of contents, you're brought to your very first question up here at the top, your very first jurisdiction that you selected, and then your short answers. And then what's great about this is you also have hyperlinks out to the primary law if you want to see that in full context. State law comparison tool, as mentioned a few seconds ago, it's great if you don't do a whole lot of research, but when you do, it can get those answers very quickly. Or if you do a whole lot of research, it can still save you a lot of time by getting you those answers. And then last, I just want to point out that with the tools and resources, there are additional resources in practical guidance. You just hit view all and you can see a more exhaustive list. Third, let's touch on litigation analytics. So if you practice in federal court and you want to get profiles on courts, judges, attorneys, or law firms, this is where you want to go for that type of information. You can search one entity at a time through the search box right here. Or if you want to search multiple entities at one time, you can compare courts and judges, or you can compare counsel. If I do compare courts and judges, you can compare between 2 to 4 of these types of entities at one time. If I view the example, this is comparing the Southern District of Texas with 3 of its sitting judges. I can get an idea of the caseload by year, and the hyperlink numbers will take you out to a case list where you can then filter through those cases. Second, you can get an idea of the practice area, the amount of flow per practice area for the court and sitting judges. You can also get a timeline of motion to dismiss. So if you want to know how many days does it normally take for those types of motions to be decided on, you're given 3 numbers. The first number is the earliest amount of days it typically takes, the average, and then the longest amount of days. And then once again, those hyperlinks to those cases will be included. You can find out that same type of information for summary judgments, duration of trial, duration of termination, or before terminations are decided. And then you can also get a snapshot of damages. A great hypothetical of where you can really use this tool is if you've just filed a case with a court and you haven't been assigned a judge yet. You can use this tool to start profiling and putting together a game plan. And next we have brief analysis. So what's great about brief analysis is if you do a whole lot of case law research, this tool will allow you to upload a brief. You can upload it in Word or PDF format, and it will provide you with case law recommendations. And so you have the option to upload one brief, or you can upload multiple briefs. If you upload multiple briefs, you just want to separate them by a plaintiff or defendant. So for this example, I'm just going to upload a single brief. And anything that you upload to the system stays confidential to your ID. And this brief's a little long, so it should just take a couple more seconds. Okay. So once your brief's been uploaded, you're brought to your dashboard. Your dashboard just gives you a snapshot of the services that follow up here at the top. If I click on recommendations, this is where you can find case law recommendation. And there's a bar here so you can quickly get to those recommendations. And those will be highlighted in blue. So this first paragraph, it's discussing motion to dismiss, and the system has 18 recommendations for it. 10 of those are derived from cases, and you've got the case name here, as well as the relevant passage. You also get recommendations from practical guidance, as well as treatises. If you want to check out what other counsel has written that's similar to your own brief, you can access similar briefs as well. You can also get a list of citations. So let's say if you upload opposing counsel's brief and you want to download everything that they've cited to, you can do that here. You can also double check quotes. So if you want to make sure before you submit something to the court that everything has been cited to and written out properly, the system will do that for you. If there's anything that's incorrect, it will tell you what it should look like. And so that's essentially brief analysis. You also have Legal News Hub. Legal News Hub is where Law 360 content is housed. Up here at the top, you've got some of the categories. If I select more, you've got an exhaustive list of all the categories. Essentially, you could locate your practice area in here and then be notified of the top stories on a daily basis. And then the last feature that I meant to show earlier is called Code Compare. And you want to be in the legal research module to access Code Compare. Now, essentially what it does is it allows you to view the changes of a particular statute. You can view the changes of the 2-year versions of the statute. And so let me pull it up just to make sure it makes more sense. Once you're inside of a statute, you'll see an option here called Compare Versions. And so if I need to figure out what the changes are of a statute between 2 years, then this tool does that work for you. So here I'm going to leave 2021 selected, and then I'm going to pick an older year like 2020, hit Compare Versions. I can see there's been 15 additions, 12 deletions. You've got the 2 versions of the year side by side. And then I can once again use this bar on the side to get to those changes. If you prefer to see your changes all on one document, there's another view that will do that for you. It's called Overlay View. Once again, that bar will be here on the side, and then you can view your changes this way. And so those are essentially the main changes from Lexis to Lexis Plus. I'll send out an email that recaps some of what we discussed. It'll also have my contact information in there if you have any questions or if you want to schedule a one-on-one. And with that being said, I'll just hang on the line if there's any questions. If you don't have any questions, then I want to thank you for coming out today, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Whitney. I've got one quick question for you, if you don't mind. Can you hear me?